Apple might be on track to release a record number of products in 2025, so today I want to go over all of the rumors for the new products coming over the course of the next year. As there's 5 new iPhone models in the works, significant Mac and iPad updates, new Apple Watches, new AirPods, new HomePods, as well as a mystery product that we've been hearing about for quite some time. All of this and more is rumored for 2025. So let's start off in chronological order from the products we are getting the soonest in the spring, then jump over to the summer and close out with Apple's biggest event of the year in the fall. Kicking things off as early as March, Apple is said to be releasing the long-awaited iPhone SE 4. They are getting rid of the small iPhone design with a home button and replacing it with a similar device to the iPhone 14. For the first time on Apple's budget model, you'll be getting a 6.1-inch OLED display with a notch up at the top as well as Face ID. There's no more home button or Touch ID to be found. And that's just the start of the upgrades. At the bottom of the phone, Apple is replacing the Lightning port with USB-C. So now every iPhone that they make in 2025 will have a USB-C port. Above the volume rocker, Apple's upgrading the mute switch to the action button, which can be user reprogrammed to any other action. On the back, it still has a single camera, but now it's a 48 megapixel sensor, which are going to make the photos and videos out of this budget iPhone look crazy good. And on the inside, you're getting Apple's latest chip. They're putting the A18 processor in here, which supports Apple Intelligence. So the entire suite of AI features that you get on their most expensive iPhones will also be available here too. And all of this in a package for $500. This is going to be a ridiculous value. Following that, the next new products coming in March are some updated MacBook Airs. Although in terms of an update, probably the least exciting product for 2025, as it's rumored to be a spec bump refresh with Apple just putting the M4 chip on the inside. The design of these MacBook Airs is still pretty new, so Apple's not changing that, and we could get Thunderbolt 4 ports instead of Thunderbolt 3, or maybe a center stage camera like Apple decided to add on the new MacBook Pros. Just going to be a pretty basic MacBook Air update. That is until we get to Apple's brand new HomePod. And this might be the single product on this list that I am the most excited to see. For years now, we've been hearing about a HomePod Max of sorts, which is going to have a large touchscreen display on the front and built-in speakers, but also different ways to mount it and different attachments and accessories to use with it. For example, you'll be able to wall mount your HomePod Max and control different smart home accessories, or use it next to your bed on a nightstand as an alarm clock, because it's said to be based off of a new operating system that looks similar to your standby mode on the iPhone. It'll have different apps like Safari and News or Calendar, so you can keep track of your day on it. And it sounds like the ultimate home control hub that we've always kind of wanted to see and that Apple has never made. On the inside, it'll even have an A18 chip to support Apple Intelligence, so it will be significantly more capable than any of Apple's other HomePods that they've made to date. That being said, because of everything it can do, it'll also be the most expensive HomePod they've ever made. I would expect around $400. Now, rounding out the spring, Apple has one more product on the way, and that's an updated iPad Air. But just like the MacBook Air, it's going to be a super small spec bump. The main upgrade this year is said to be the faster M3 chip, but if anybody is upgrading their iPad for a faster chip, I have so many questions. I'm sure there will be a couple of other minor updates here, but really it's just going to be the M3 chip. Now, as for any other products launching around this time frame, Apple could also be dropping an updated iPad 11. This is Apple's cheapest base model that sells for about $349. And the main update for this one is going to be the inclusion of an A17 Pro or A18 chip on the inside that enables this device to run Apple Intelligence, as Apple is planning to update every single product in their lineup with Apple Intelligence so that anybody that buys a product can have access to AI features, even if the AI features right now are absolutely not worth upgrading for. But there's going to be more stuff added in the future that will probably make an iPad with Apple Intelligence make a lot more sense, just not right now. Which will bring us all the way into the summertime, because around the June time frame, Apple is said to be giving us some of their most important Mac updates of the past 4 years. Because this is when we're said to be getting not only a new version of Apple's Mac Studio desktop computer, but also their highest end piece, the Mac Pro. On the inside of these, we're going to be getting the M4 Max chip, which Apple has already shown off, but also the M4 Ultra, which Apple has not previewed. And this is going to be based off of an entirely new chip architecture that they have not shown off previously. See, historically, Apple's Ultra chips have just been 2 Max chips that they fused together using this Infinity Link material using a hidden connector on the Max chips. But starting with the M3 series, Apple stopped putting that connector on the Max, which means that Apple is is going to be building this M4 Ultra chip from the ground up, just like they do for all of their other processors. The chip is absolutely going to be the main story, and design-wise, it doesn't appear that we are getting any major changes to either of these machines still, but there will be new Thunderbolt 4 ports to make connectivity even faster. Now, around the same time, there are rumors that Apple could also launch an updated Apple display, something like the Pro Display XDR 2. They could finally add 120Hz Pro motion to a Mac desktop, as well as better mini LED lighting. But to be fair, the rumors for a new Apple display are very hit or miss. We're not sure that this thing is coming out in 2025. It's just considering that the old model will be 6 years old in June of 2025. It's a now or never moment, and being updated alongside the Mac Pro would make a lot of sense. That being said, one of my favorite things to do with my MacBook is connected to an external display, and that's why I partnered up with Asus, who sponsored today's video, and their brand new ProArt Display 5K that's incredible. Listen, this thing is so good that in the box, they give you a printout of the 5K display calibration results, because at 5120 by 2880, you can edit 4K images in full resolution and also have space for more on your screen at the same time. It measures in at 27 inches, and it features their latest Lux Pixel technology, which has anti-glare, low reflection coating, so that when you're in a brighter room with a lot of light around you, the screen still looks really good because of the reduced reflectivity. On Apple's displays, you have to pay for a coating like this, but it comes standard with Asus. Plus, being that this monitor was made with Mac users in mind, you can connect your MacBook and charge it with just a single USB-C cable for an ultra clean setup on your desk. Right now, you can grab an Asus ProArt Display 5K using my link down below in the description, and get a 3-month free trial of the Adobe bundle too. A huge thank you to them for sponsoring this one. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, now with the summer wrapping up comes Apple's busiest season of the entire year, and that's the fall, beginning in September with Apple releasing the iPhone 17 lineup. And according to the rumors, the iPhone 17 is set to be the biggest update since 2017 with the iPhone 10. Because while Apple is still releasing 4 models this year, they are completely switching up the formula. While Apple will continue to offer a base iPhone 17 model, they are replacing the Plus size with an all-new iPhone 17 Air. This will be a first-of-its-kind iPhone model built from the ground up with a focus strictly on the design. It's said to be the thinnest iPhone ever at just about 6mm, but to achieve this, Apple's going to be sacrificing quite a bit. Like on the back, there will only be a single camera, and although it's 48 megapixels, it won't be 2 like you've usually had. And on the inside, there's just not that much space to put a big battery, so the Air will probably have the worst battery life. This iPhone 17 Air is going to be the most interesting iPhone that the company has ever released, and I'm just fascinated to see what it ends up looking like. But of course, if you want more power and battery and functionality, Apple will continue to make the Pro iPhones as well, with the 17 Pro and the 17 Pro Max. And these models are also said to be getting a massive visual overhaul this year, with a new camera bar on the back with horizontally aligned triple camera setup. And rumors also say that Apple is switching the material on the Pro models this year. Again, even though we just got titanium 2 years ago on the 15 Pros, the 17 Pros could switch back to aluminum, which would give you a significant weight savings. Now, why Apple's doing this, we don't know exactly yet, but flip the Pros over to the front side and there's a much smaller dynamic island up at the top, as it appears that Apple will have found a way to put some of the Face ID hardware embedded under the screen and project through the pixels, which is going to be some wild tech. This front-facing camera is also getting a big update, now jumping to 24 megapixels from the current 12, and this is actually a change you're getting on every iPhone 17. Internally, all iPhone 17s will also feature Apple's newest A19 chip, which will be even better for future Apple Intelligence features. And these phones could also feature more Apple design components, which means the battery life and efficiency should also increase on the iPhone 17s too. I just think across the entire lineup, there are so many good changes, and they're things we've been waiting on for years. And all of this, these are just the rumors that we know about the iPhone 17 so far. So make sure you hit that subscribe button in case you haven't already for more videos on the iPhone 17 all the way up to the release. But Apple's got something else big planned for the fall too, and that is AirPods Pro 3. These are always the pair of AirPods that Apple uses to push their latest audio improvements, the best sound quality, and now their latest health features. Sources say that AirPods Pro 3 will be Apple's first to include a built-in heart rate sensor, so if you don't have an Apple Watch on but you go for a run, you could get that biometric health data and see it on on your iPhone. A heartbeat sensor, though, is just the start for Apple's ambitions, as they also know that you can take someone's internal body temperature through the inner ear. So imagine if AirPods could tell you if you were running a fever by taking your temperature at different points throughout the day. Again, the Apple Watch already has a temperature sensor on it, so Apple could use that data in conjunction with each other to give you a way better holistic picture of your health. Now, separate from that, by the way, AirPods Pro 3 are getting some other major updates. They're said to look quite a bit different, with both the buds and the wireless charging case getting a major visual overhaul. On and off for years, we've heard that AirPods could go circular and lose the stem entirely, so maybe AirPods Pro 3 is when that finally happens. Internally, it'll likely have an even better wireless chip, which will further increase the sound quality and fidelity of AirPods Pro, and could even improve battery life further too. And at least according to one rumor, active noise cancellation is going to get significantly improved on AirPods Pro 3 too. So these are going to be an incredible update and a perfect pair for your iPhone or the new Apple Watches that are also launching in September 2025. An updated Apple Watch Series 11 as well as the rugged Apple Watch Ultra 3. The release of both of these watches will mark 10 years of the Apple Watch going on sale, and they do have some pretty significant updates planned for both of these models. On the standard Apple Watch Series 11, Apple has said to have finally cracked the blood pressure sensor. So now throughout the day, your Apple Watch Series 11 can take measurements of your BP and then tell you if you have high blood pressure, low, or you're just about right. You won't be able to take it on demand like you can with the blood oxygen sensor, for example. At least initially, it'll take these measurements silently in the background and only alert you if there's a problem like Apple does with their AFib detection. Now, Apple will also likely be adding blood pressure monitoring to the Apple Watch Ultra 3 too, but there's a bonus feature coming on top of that will be exclusive to the Ultra line, and that is said to be satellite connectivity, which Apple has had on the iPhone for a couple of years now. With the introduction of the Apple Watch Ultra 3, you'll now be able to call for help and text other people and potentially one day make phone calls while having no cellular or Wi-Fi connectivity in the middle of nowhere from your wrist. Just considering how Apple markets the Apple Watch Ultra, this feature is a no-brainer, and it's going to give so many people that go out on long extended hikes a ton of peace of mind. Satellite connectivity has saved countless lives already just on the iPhone. Imagine what happens when Apple brings it to the watch. Now, on top of these two watches, it's possible we could also see the third generation Apple Watch SE in 2025, with Apple said to be making maybe the most controversial change to any of their products this year, as the SE3 is said to switch away from an aluminum design and switch over to a more plastic, colorful palette, as it seems that Apple sees plastic as a key way to cut the cost even further to better compete with other cheaper watches. Keep in mind, we don't know all the details just yet, but it certainly seems like the SE3 watch would be targeted at kids way more than it has been historically. Okay, closing out on 2025, Apple still has a couple of more products in the pipeline. The first is a new version of the Apple TV 4K, which the current version has not been updated since 2022, so it's been some time. And while this new version is not rumored to look different and still not get a redesign for some reason, even though the current black box hasn't been changed in any way since 2015, rumors in the past have said the Apple TV could get a camera built in so that you can more easily do FaceTime calls on your TV without having to prop up your iPhone. And it'll also be one of the first of Apple's products to use their new in-house Wi-Fi and Bluetooth chip. And of course, on the inside, we're going to be getting a more powerful chip for gaming, and also one that supports all of the latest Apple Intelligence features. You can see the trend. They're really adding AI to everything. Speaking of products for the home, there's also a new HomePod Mini 2 in the works for 2025. Now, details here are incredibly scarce. I assume it will have better audio quality, but no source has actually said that yet. I just think better audio in a speaker. I feel like that's a safe bet. It's also likely that Apple will refresh the color palette here so that it fits into even more places in your home. Along with this, Apple's also releasing a second generation AirTag at some point this year, and we don't know the exact time frame for this, but it will likely launch sometime after the second half of 2025 with a couple of key improvements from the first generation. First, the second generation AirTag is said to have extended range, as Apple's going to be putting a new wireless chip on the inside that will allow you to find your items from further away. And number two, this new AirTag is said to integrate better with Apple's Vision Pro headset, but it's completely unclear as to what exactly that means, but potentially it would be for finding your items while immersed in virtual reality. So definitely no major updates for Apple's item tracker, but a couple of nice improvements over the first gen. Okay, I promise we're almost there, just a couple more things. Around this October, November time is always when Apple launches new Macs, and rumors say this is when the very first of the M5 Macs are going to be releasing, specifically starting with the M5 MacBook Pro series. And this update is very exciting for one reason. It is a redesign year for the MacBook Pro. The last time we saw this was with the M1 Pro and M1 Max units back in 2021, and it was when Apple basically fixed all of the problems of the last MacBook Pro. So with the next redesign, what are the M5 MacBook Pros going to look like? Well, according to a report, it sounds like Apple is focusing on a return to thinness, kind of like what we saw going from the 2015 to the 2016 MacBook Pros. And I could not be more excited about this rumor. I love the MacBook Pros, but it is pretty hefty to travel with. And if Apple can come up with a design in between the current MacBook Air and the current MacBook Pro, I think that would hit the perfect sweet spot for portability and performance. And these MacBook Pros would just look like the slickest laptops ever made. And speaking of slick, it sounds like we could finally be seeing the return of a computer that I have wanted to see back for the longest time, and that is the larger size iMac. The iMac Pro may finally be making a comeback in late 2025 or early 2026 with a complete redesign and higher end chips from Apple and a reimagination of an all-in-one Pro desktop. People have been asking for a larger screen iMac ever since Apple redesigned the smaller one, and it does feel like there's a void in Apple's lineup, that a 24-inch all-in-one just isn't big enough for a lot of people. They want 27 or 32 inches, and Apple could finally be ready to deliver. And finally, wrapping up this entire video, the last product that could be updated at the end of 2025, that is a new Apple Vision Pro 2. This is Apple's VR futuristic headset that has not been off to a hot start, mainly because it's crazy expensive at $3,500. It weighs more than a load of bricks, and aside from watching movies, there's just not that much to do with it. On Apple Vision Pro 2, Apple said to improve the comfort and ergonomics so that you'd want to wear this for more than a few minutes at a time. The screens may be getting even better and brighter than they are currently. And the price, well, we don't really know if Apple's going to drop it on the Pro model or keep it as is. Luckily, Apple Vision Pro 2 is going to be the smallest part of 2025, and from 5 new iPhone models, new iPads on the way, a bunch of groundbreaking new Mac computers, a fresh HomePod Max product, as well as AirPods Pro 3 with new health features and new Apple Watches, one of which with satellite connectivity. 2025 sounds like it's going to be a banger. And of course, I'll be with you along the way, telling you about all of these products as they come out here. So hit subscribe in case you haven't already. Really appreciate that. Helps me and the channel out. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. I've been Sam, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.